Welcome back to our voyage on the Rhine River from Switzerland to the sea. So far, we had enjoyed some nice concrete scenery. This is insane! Been jostled around by giant commercial ships.
Schatz, this is really bad!
And treaded water for hours in front of the locks.
Oh, I'm ready to go schlafen.
But today was looking up. Join us as we travel from Breisach to the ancient city of Strasbourg, a stretch of river that has a pretty contentious past. I'm Maya, and this is Aladino. In mid-November, we converted our 28-foot sailboat into a riverboat, and we started going north, from the Mediterranean all the way to the North Sea. In front of us, we had 2,000 kilometers and 200 locks. Join us as we navigate river currents, discover incredible places, cruise through canals, wait out a global pandemic in the heart of France, and record the whole voyage with a new episode every Friday. This is North Through the Continent. We're going north through the continent. Time for day 2 on the Rhine River. We woke up in Breisach, ready to follow the river north. We made some preparations, filled our tanks, and then left the dock. Sadly, our friend Annika had to return to work, so it was just the three of us now. Me, Aladino, and Luca, ready to face the Rhine. I think yesterday we sort of realized, at least the top of the Rhine, I think it might change, but at least the top of the Rhine, it's really not for pleasure craft. It's not built for pleasure craft. It's not pleasurable for pleasure craft because there are no pontoons. There's really no infrastructure. But today was already looking up. It was warmer and sunnier for one. The next big city was Strasbourg, a very important European city which I was excited to visit. And the scenery was a bit better compared to the concrete canals of yesterday. Although there's always the inescapable industry, at least the riverbanks were slightly more natural looking. And there's actually a pretty interesting reason for that. In the last episode, we traveled down the concrete-lined Grand Canal d'Alsace to arrive in Breisach. This controversial canal actually redirected the upper Rhine River. The original and now much smaller Free Rhine, or Original Rhine, to this day runs parallel to the massive Grand Canal. But of course, anytime you completely change the course of an entire river, there will be conflicts and consequences, and the Grand Canal d'Alsace was no different. From its inception, the Germans and the Swiss were not very happy about this little Grand Canal idea. Trade on the Rhine River had long been free and available to international ships. Switzerland and Germany both relied heavily on the river, and now France was proposing to essentially steal the river and redirect it into a French canal on French soil built by French companies and manned by French lockkeepers. Germany and Switzerland were understandably skeptical. But it was also true that something had to be done to improve navigation on the Upper Rhine, which was notorious for a shifting riverbed and extremely strong currents. So, following their success in World War I and promising that this was the best solution for everyone, France began construction in 1928. Of course, World War II disrupted things, but France returned to the project in 1948, although the controversy hadn't died down. German towns downstream were terrified of the disastrous consequences that simply moving the Rhine would have on their livelihoods, so the Germans, still shamefaced from the war, underwent huge efforts to peacefully prove to the French why this wasn't a good idea. And in 1956, they met with some success. France would adopt a new strategy for river taming. Instead of continuing to build the lateral canal, they would leave the Rhine in place and just install short deviations to locks and dams. So from Breisach onwards, the Grand Canal d'Alsace simply stopped, and we were now traveling in the actual Rhine River. This solution meant that groundwater was kept the same, Breisach didn't find itself suddenly landlocked, and the Rhine was still tamed for navigation. Plus, it meant that when sailing Magic Carpet floated down this river in 2020, it was slightly prettier to look at. Win, win, win.
Not to jinx this in advance, but this one seems to be the smoothest lock of the Rhine so far, because there was no commercial ship going in, so we are in the lock just with another pleasure craft. So that means the only challenge we faced so far of having the prop wash of the big boats is not existent, and the rest was always super smooth.
But yeah, it seems like these locks are very standardized now. The first one was a bit weird, but since then they've all been very standardized, which I guess makes sense because when the commercial ships come in, I imagine they probably have set, bollards on the boat that they use, and they've always got their ropes ready, and it's always in the same spot to tie up. I'm actually not even 100% if the big boats do tie up in the locks, but I'm pretty sure they do.
Yeah. It makes us uncertain because they often have engines going while they are in the lock. That seems like to keep them in place and stabilize. But
I'm
yeah,
sure we'll now get a million comments from people who know.
Yeah.
But yeah, and also the other reason why we're uncertain is that the commercial boats, they fit precisely in the lock. It's seriously like there's this much space on either side. So sometimes it's like, oh, they're just in there anyway. Like, where are they gonna go?
You're holding my mind in a tight grip when I walk all over you.
It even gets better! This time the lock got prepared for us and we're going in by ourselves, which is pretty nice. It is so smooth.
Say that today has been a really, really lovely day. I'm really happy about that because yesterday I was honestly really sort of stressed about the rest of this Rhine trip. We had a lot of prop wash from the big ships. We had to wait a really long time for each of the locks yesterday. The scenery was really not much to write home about, and so I was kind of feeling yeah, just sort of not very excited and a little bit nervous for the rest of the voyage. But today it was a totally different mood. We didn't have to wait for the locks. Both locks we've done so far have been without the big ships, which just makes them so easy and so smooth. And we're gonna be arriving, if not tonight, then at least early tomorrow, in a really, what should be very interesting and very beautiful city of Strasbourg, France. So, yes, things are definitely looking up, and I think that as we continue to get into more of the interesting cities and towns along the Rhine, that it will just continue to get better and better. The one thing I am curious about is that today's Sunday, and I wonder if the decreased commercial traffic is because of that. I think it very well might be. So we'll see if it goes back on Monday to being sort of like this, not a struggle, but just sort of like the drama of having to weave around the other boats. Anyway, that's my update. Feeling much better today than I did yesterday. Woohoo! Last lock of the day. We just arrived and he immediately opened the lock up just for us. There's no other boat around. So this is amazing. Each lock just keeps getting better and better. Very, very happy. So once we've passed through here, then there's another little stretch, and then there should be a little harbor where we can tie up for the night. And tomorrow we've got a very short day then to get to Strasbourg, which I'm very excited about. It should be a fun city to explore. Another interesting thing about all these locks on the Rhine that I'm not sure if I've properly explained, but you might have sort of seen it in the B-roll, is that there's always two locks. There's two locking chambers, if that's what you want to call them. There's a smaller one, which is still big enough to fit the big commercial ships, and then there's this even bigger one, which I think I haven't measured it and I haven't seen it, but I think it's big enough to fit 2 commercial ships side by side. So right now we are in the big one, all by ourselves.
Yeah.
Little magic carpet in the biggest possible lock on one of Europe's biggest rivers. Is this Europe's biggest river? If it's not the biggest, it's definitely one of them.
I thought it's the Amazon. Not in Europe, okay. No, I'm kidding. No idea. What about Danubio?
I don't know, I have to look this up.
Danube. Yeah,
I
I
guess
don't know.
it's the one with the most traffic on it.
Yeah,
And I guess the
that's-
Nile is not in Europe either.
Nile is not really in Europe.
Neither
Close
is the
to.
Mississippi. Would you like to guess some more?
Yeah, the Yukon River.
Oh, eine Bachstelze. Look at this over
Eine
there. Ein
Bachstelze.
Bachstelzli.
Wow, hoi
Wow,
Bachstelzli.
whee.
Whee, off they go.
of your bed, come out ahead, don't dwell within.
As we left the final lock, the gorgeous sunset seemed to reflect the mood of the day. It had been a lovely day, made all the lovelier by the contrast from yesterday. We looked at our chart and saw a little harbor up ahead, so we decided to aim for that. The world was still and peaceful. The magic of the Rhine was slowly revealing itself. The Rhine which I had read about in books and poems was beginning to unfold. But only beginning, for soon would find even more beautiful sections.
Don't dwell within.
I am, yes, such delicious.
But this is actually really hard.
So Luca, what did you make?
So I made a broccoli sauce with some kind of gnocchis which are not made out of potatoes, they are made out of, what are they made out of?
Just pasta.
Pasta, it's normal
Gnocchetti
pasta.
sardi.
And I added some extra lemon, which I actually don't know if it's a good one. But I just tried it.
I love
and
extra
I
lemon.
hope it's good.
I love extra lemon. I think it's going to be excellent. It smells amazing. Thank you so much for cooking.
You are very welcome. Yay.
Yay! And now the Mr. Picky Italian Meister. I wonder if he'll be nicer to Luca than he is to me about his pasta pickiness.
Like I said, it's very thin, the ice. Which I'm trying to do. And then you have to send me the video, or you have to delete it in an instant.
Wait, now I have to really act well.
Yes. That is the wrong way to act for my pasta, but yeah, thanks for that. I gotta remember, I will never do pasta again on the magic carpet.
No, I love it. And actually you reminded me to do this more often. The pasta with broccoli. Which is actually cauliflower. Do you say broccoli in English?
Yeah, broccoli and cauliflower are two different things.
Cauliflower
Oh,
are the
true.
white ones, right?
Yeah, exactly.
The white
yeah.
bushy.
Oh, no, I screwed up.
Yay, Luca passes the test.
Really good.
Luca is braver than me because I usually just never make pasta for him. He's way too picky. He can make his own pasta. if he
Perfectly
wants it
salted,
a
perfectly al
specific
dente.
way.
And the lemon is a nice touch.
Yay!
Good morning. We are getting ready to leave. It's gonna be a short day on the boat. We got like 6 miles to go and 1 lock. with the current, yeah, in an hour we could be approaching Strasbourg. Also, there is quite a coincidence, and I'm super stoked about it. I once helped building a catamaran, Chioning Arrow. It was put in the water in Basel, and they just started the voyage one day after us, so they are catching up. And since we're staying in Strasbourg, that will be their stopover for the night. So I'm super excited to meet them in the harbor in Strasbourg and get to see what ultimately also is my baby a little bit, because I have not seen it finished yet. It was a lot of work, and I took over a bit at an early stage, let's say it. It was just the two hulls were together and there was a floor, but basically I did from like tabbing bulkheads and putting on a roof, and yeah, lots of tabbing, fairing, sanding, window frames, like all the, yeah, some more structural things in the beginning. Now it's shiny, it's white, it has the most awesome systems inside you can imagine, 2 electric motors. It's an incredible project. And I think you all should check it out, because their intention is to facilitate getting the ocean license, which is required for Switzerland, and just getting to do some ocean sailing for kids, teenagers, kids, which normally it's less accessible or more expensive. So the initial idea, it was 2 friends of mine, they were like, well, let's build a cat. It was a crazy idea, one evening drinking beer, I think, but yeah, they've made it. Now it's like 3 or 4 years after, and the catamaran is in the water and on the way to the ocean, which is quite incredible. I'm super stoked for them.
So we set off from the dock. In front of us was a day of sunshine and exciting things. A new city, and the chance to see the finished boat which Aladino had spent 6 months working on. Actually, Aladino was working on that catamaran when I first met him. He'd work on it during the workday, and then in the evenings would go hang out on the lake and eat dinner and work on magic carpet. Seeing the finished catamaran was going to bring back a lot of lovely memories.
We are now very close to Strasbourg. We just have one more lock to go through and then we shall be there. Or actually I think 2 more locks, but one of them is just to sort of enter the city, if I'm not mistaken.
Feel like a gondolier in Venice, holding a pole and hanging here a little.
Alright, so the engine is off. We actually haven't made it to Strasbourg yet. We thought it would be a very easy day. There is one big river lock, and then we knew there was sort of a smaller lock to enter into Strasbourg, but we didn't think that would be a problem. But apparently you have to call ahead and arrange for this lock to be opened. We didn't really think of doing that because so far all the locks have just been kind of ready to go. So we are here. We're not quite sure what's going to happen. We tried, there's a number, we tried calling it, nobody picked up. There's a VHF channel, we tried calling on that. Again, no answer. Aladino is preparing some leftovers for lunch. I love leftovers, I'm excited.
Yeah, we got black beans, gnocchetti sardi with broccoli, and käsespätzle.
Quite a...
From how many countries? Mexico,
3.
Italy and Germany.
Yeah.
Excellent.
After eating lunch and studying the chart, we saw there was another way to enter Strasbourg, so we figured we'd try our luck there.
Alright, so we are going to the North Schleuse and we are hoping for better luck there. This one appears to be shut or something. Nobody here anyway.
Yep. boat hasn't moved as much in a few months. Actually, since we entered the Rhine, we are getting used to ocean motion again. And that is especially due to the barges. They have very strong engines and they create quite the wake. So we're getting our sea legs again every time that a barge passes.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. We are very close to the spot where we should turn in, but one thing one has to be very careful on the Rhine is the traffic, and we have a barge barging up on us from abaft. So instead of cutting off its way and we wait, we let her pass, and then we go.
This way to Strasbourg.
We arrived to the lock, and there is a red light here, which is better than no light. I called the radio and he replied, so he should be preparing the lock, the last lock of the day, and to enter into Strasbourg. I'm pretty excited. It's a cool town. I don't know how to describe it, but yeah, the only way I can right now, it's like a little Venice or like a Dutch town like Amsterdam. It has many canals surrounding it, and town, like I think the old part of town is an island right in the middle. So now we get to cruise alongside, see some of town, and our harbor should be pretty central.
And I wonder, I wish it would have been kind of funny, but perhaps kind of sad, to tally up the amount of time we have spent waiting for locks along this voyage. I'm sure it's been many days, if not even a week at least, spent waiting in front of locks throughout the duration of this. But we are coming close to the end of locks, I suppose, and then we will be back out onto the sea with the sails up. What a time. But in the meantime, I'm actually very much enjoying this voyage. I'm very excited to see Strasbourg for all the reasons Aladino just listed. We're almost there.
And there we were, past the geometric shapes of industry, past old barges converted into homes, we arrived to the city of Strasbourg, and shortly after tying up in the harbor, the catamaran came into sight. In very Swiss fashion, they docked, and in very non-Swiss fashion, we ran around all excited.
Are you happy?
Yes, I almost happy cry. I have to be very careful.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, Schatzi.
It's a happy cry. I don't know.
Oh, if you cry, I'm gonna cry. I always cry when I see other people cry, so you better not.
Okay.
I don't even have any emotional investment in this boat, so don't make me cry
but
about
I do,
it.
and that is the cool part of it. So that's what makes me happy cry almost. It's so cool.
It is really cool. You have accomplished a lot.
They have. Ta-da!
Didn't you make that?
I helped a lot. Yeah, well, this was one big part of it.
We ended up going for dinner with the crew, and we didn't want to spoil the moment by pulling out video cameras everywhere. So here, the episode ends, but there's still a lot to see in Strasbourg. So much to see, in fact, that it'll just have to wait for the next episode. If you want to learn more about the catamaran that Aladino helped to build and the social project behind it, check out oceanyouthsailing.com. And if you want to learn more about the gorgeous town of Strasbourg, check out our next episode, which will be released on Friday. As always, a giant thank you to all of you for watching. Please leave us a thumbs up if you enjoyed the episode, and also subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss the upcoming installments. An extra big thank you to our patrons for making these episodes possible every single week. And an extra big thank you to these folks who really go the extra mile to make sure that these episodes keep happening. We'll see you all next time.